Hello. Now I'm going to show you how to do volunteer closeouts. So the first thing that you want to do is create a Google Excel doc, a new one, for the year that you are doing closeouts for. So this is an example of the one that I did at the end of 2015. And so what you want to do is you want to put all the list of volunteers, the names, here of all the volunteers that are marked that they were interested in doing in-home lessons. So you're going to get that by going to Salesforce, and I've created a report that you can use every time that you do closeouts for volunteers. So it's called BA for Bay Area, Volunteer Closeouts. So you click on this report, and this is how you're going to pull the volunteer list that you need. And so this pulls all the Bay Area volunteers that are currently active and that marked that they were interested in doing an in-home lesson or outpatient mentoring. You can disregard this. We used to call in-home lessons outpatient mentoring about 2 years ago. So that's why there's still some volunteers that have this under their volunteer type, and then for the newer ones they have in-home lesson. So here you can run that report and you can see all the volunteers that have marked that they're interested in in-home lesson. So you're going to go ahead and export this report to get those names. You're going to click export, and then you're going to get something that looks like this. And so this is just an Excel doc of all the current volunteers that are interested in in-home lessons. So all you're going to do is copy this column so you can get this name, all these names. So you're going to copy, and then you're going to paste those names right here. So you're going to input all those volunteers right here so you have them in this doc. And then you're going to go through each volunteer and mark when you've closed their current open activity, and then mark when you have opened their new open activity for the new year. And then if they have not been responsive over the past 2 quarters, you're going to go ahead and inactivate that volunteer, and you're going to make an X here so that you know that you're going to have to send them an inactivation email. You're going to include any notes that you have for that volunteer. And then you're going to check here once you've inactivated or followed up with the volunteer. So it's kind of a lengthy process, but once you get in the zone, it's pretty easy. So you're going to start with the first volunteer. You're going to copy her name, go to Salesforce, and look at her home page. So her name's Julia Zave. And so to do closeouts, what you're going to do is you're going to close this open activity, and you're going to create a new one if you feel that this volunteer is still interested in volunteering. So how you're going to do that is you're going to look at her notes here. So she's currently, you can look at her open activity. She's currently in an in-home lesson. So you know that she is still interested in volunteering, and so all you're going to do is close her open activity. So the way that you do that is on her main page, you're going to hover over open activities, and you're going to click close. So at the end of the year, you're going to close the open activity. By hitting close, it'll already say the status is completed. And then you're going to put here what happened during that last session. So she was matched into an in-home lesson. She was matched into a rollover because it was more than the 8 sessions. So you're going to click matched rollover, and then that's really all that you're going to change. And then you're going to click save. And then so that will go into her activity history. And so to create a new open activity for the new year, you're going to go here back to where you were closing it. So from closing it and putting matched rollover, an easy way to just create a new activity from there is to save that you've closed it, and then create a new task in the same movement. So you're going to save, you just closed her open activity, and now you're going to create a new one under Programs Task. So you're going to click Continue. And so here's where you're going to create her new open activity. So you're going to, this is regarding, it's always regarding matching. So you're going to put matching for all the volunteers. Session, you're going to put, it hasn't been created yet, but you're going to put the next year. So it would be 2017 for the new open activity. And then you're going to put here matching category, whatever it is that it applies to this volunteer. So if she was matched and she was currently in a rollover, so going into the new year, she's already matched and she's in a rollover. So you're going to put rollover in progress because the 8 weeks of in-home lessons have not finished, so it's a rollover in progress. And then you're just going to click Save there. So from there, you're going to see that you've closed her last year's open activity and that you've opened a new one and that it's a rollover in progress. So you're going to have a couple of different scenarios that happen, but before you go to the next volunteer, so Julia Zave, you can mark that you did close her open activity and then you created a new one for the new year. She is currently in home lessons, so she does not need an inactivation email because she is active. She's an active volunteer. So now you're going to go to the next volunteer and do the same thing. So her name is Idrissa. So you're going to look at Idrissa's page. And you're going to see here this information. So the first example of Julia, she was pretty easy. She was in an in-home lesson, so you just closed it, opened a new one, pretty simple. For other volunteers, here is where it gets a little bit tricky. Well, not tricky, just more work. So you have to see whether you want to inactivate this particular volunteer. So here you can see that all the notes that the program coordinators have left in this brief comments section. So for Idrissa, the program coordinator had sent an opportunity for in-home lessons with this student, and then she sent a follow-up email as well and has not heard a response. So if the program coordinator has noted that she's offered activities, she's also followed up, and she has not heard any responses, that's a signal that you want to inactivate this volunteer because they are not interested in volunteering anymore or they're just not being responsive. So at this point, you're going to want to close her current open activity and not create a new one because you're going to be inactivating her. So at this point, all you're going to do is you're going to go to her open activity and you're going to close it. So now it's closed, and then for matching category, what you're going to mark as what happened in the last session is that it was a no match, so she was not matched into any activities, and here you're going to put the no match reason. So she was not matched in any activities because she did not respond to us. So Coach Art did do the work and we offered opportunities, she just never responded. So it's a no response from the volunteer, and then you're going to click Save. There might be other reasons for a no match. So if a volunteer received opportunities but it wasn't in the location that they wanted, then you would click Preferred Activity Not in Area. So if the volunteer was responsive, they just said, I don't want to do in-home lessons with this particular student in this particular area, then you're not going to go ahead and inactivate them because they were at least responsive. So you're just going to click No Match, Preferred Activity Not in the Area. You can also select something like there was no contact made. So if Coach Art did not send any opportunities in the entire quarter or year, then that's what you would click. You would put no contact made from Coach Art. So it was at no fault of the volunteer. We just couldn't find any opportunities for that volunteer, so we didn't make any contact. So you're also not going to inactivate those volunteers. But so in this person's case, we did offer volunteer opportunities, she just never responded, so it's a no response from the volunteer. So you're going to save that. And so now you can see that you've closed the open activity for that year, and you are not going to create a new one because you're going to go ahead and inactivate her. So the next step is you're going to inactivate this volunteer because they have not been responsive and you're pretty sure they don't want to volunteer anymore. So you're going to edit their contact classification. You are going to click inactive, click the inactive date, click her end date for volunteering with CoChart and being in our database. And then the inactive reason was no response from the volunteer. And then you're going to click save. And then you're going to see that her page is now inactive. So the follow-up steps once you've inactivated a volunteer is you're going to want to send that volunteer an email. So you're going to send her an inactivation notice email saying that we haven't heard from you in a couple months, and we're going to go ahead and inactivate you in our database. If you choose to continue volunteering or are still interested in volunteering, please let us know and we can reactivate you at any moment. So you're going to send them that notice, and you're just going to go ahead and inactivate them right off the bat. And if you hear back from them, then you can go back into their page. So if she responded and said, I'm sorry, I hadn't been responsive, I really do want to continue volunteering, then you can go back to her page, go to contact classification, and just uncheck all these things so she's no longer inactive. And then click save. And then, so her page is back to normal. And then once you do that, you're going to also go into My Emma, and you're going to remove the volunteer from our volunteer list. So after you've inactivated a volunteer, you're going to go into My Emma and remove them from the newsletter list and all the other email listings because we don't want to send them anything in the future. So for this volunteer, we did inactivate her, so we did close her current open activity for the year. We did not create a new one because she's no longer, we inactivated her. She does need an inactivation email, so you're going to check that. And then you can write whatever notes that you want here. And then once you have followed up with her and inactivated her, you're going to go ahead and make a check there as well. So if you have reason to inactivate a volunteer, you're going to go ahead and inactivate them and then only reactivate them if you've heard back from them. So if you never hear back from them, you're just going to keep their page inactivated because you were correct in believing that they did not want to volunteer anymore. So that is how you do volunteer closeouts. So you do have to do them for quite a number of volunteers, but it does go through pretty quickly once you're in the zone. So you would just go to the next person, do the same thing, copy their name, go to their home page, and then at the same time, or same way, look at their notes. So for a normal volunteer that has not been matched but is responsive, all you're going to do is close their open activity. You're going to say there was a no match for whatever reason. Let's say there was not a preferred activity in the area, but he still really wants to volunteer. And then you're going to save, new task, matching, the new year, and then you're going to put available to be matched. So that's what you would put for any normal volunteer who's not currently in home lessons but still wants to be matched. You're going to just create a new open activity for them to be matched into. So you're going to put available to be matched. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can write any notes that you hear back from the volunteer here. And then if you're also debating whether you want to inactivate a volunteer, you can look